1996, former Cameroon's president Ahmadou Ahidjo introduced one-party system of governance. He merged all political parties into one political party, that was the CNU party. As part of his strategy, it was to reunite Cameroon and to ensure the unity and integrity of Cameroon. And Ahidjo continued with elections, even with his one party, that is the CNU party, the Cameroon's National Union. On the 4th of November 1982, President Ahidjo announced his resignation and handed power over to President Paul Biya on the 6th of November 1982. And in 1983, President Biya organized his first presidential election and continued with his one-party system of governance. As Biya and Ahidjo rift deepened within the chairmanship of the Cameroon National Union, there was an imminent coup d'etat that came in on the 6th April 1984, and President Biya succeeded in inquiring down the coup d'etat and took over and continued with his edge over power. And President Biya, as fallout of the coup d'etat that had to rebrand the Cameroon's National Union Party in Bamenda, he was rebranded into the Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement, CPDM. That was on the 24th of March 1985 in Bamenda. Ever since then, President Biya continued with the one-party system of government introduced by President Ahidjo. But as pressure mounted within the national and international front with European Union and other Western-backed organizations refusing to give aid to African countries that were not democratic, and with home pressure from Nijon Frundi, Yendo Black, President Biya was forced to reintroduce multi-party politics in 1990. In 1990, multi-party politics was reintroduced in Cameroon, and on the 26th of May 1990, the SDF party was formed under the chairmanship of Nijon Frundi, under the auspices of Nijon Frundi. That was because of the reintroduction of multi-party politics. In 1992, President Biya organized his first presidential election under multi-party politics, and during which the Social Democratic Front claimed they won the election and was stolen by the CPDM-led government. And during the period, they took to the streets, and after intense negotiation, peace calm and returned to Cameroon. Biya continued with his leadership. In 1996, there was a call for municipal and legislative election. SDF boycotted the election, citing that electoral reforms were supposed to be put in place before they participate in that election. It was a mistake they regret till today why they did not participate in the 1996 municipal and legislative election. That gave CPDM the edge within the parliament. And in 1996, CPDM again reintroduced the effective decentralization, under which their control in the parliament gave a pass within the system. And within the period in 2018, Professor Maurice KAMTO and his team equally joined the bandwagon of multi-party politics. They went in for the election in 2018, and despite the fact that it was the peak of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, they stated that they were going in to come and resolve the Anglophone crisis. And after the election, Professor Maurice KAMTO quoted "J'ai tiré le penalty et le but a été marqué," stating that he won the election. And at that point in time, he took to the street, citing that his election was stolen, dancing on the same shoe that the SDF party danced in 1992 and in 1996 when they boycotted the election. And when the municipal election was announced, Professor Maurice KAMTO announced that they were to go in for the election, and after some time, that's weeks after the election, after he had announced he was to go in for the election, he later on boycotted the election at the eve of registration process, that they were not going in again for the election. That was the same error the Social Democratic Party did in 1996. And Professor Maurice KAMTO went in for the presidential election in 2018 at the peak of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, but this time he boycotted the municipal election in 2019, citing that Anglophone crisis needs to be resolved and electoral reforms need to be put in place before they go in for any election in Cameroon. It wasn't long, months ago, Professor Maurice KAMTO came out urging his militants to register massively in the electoral list of Cameroon. And just a week later, Professor Maurice KAMTO called for a press briefing and stated that he will organize a protest that will unseat the sitting president, President Biya, if he called for regional election without resolving the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Will Professor Maurice KAMTO be able to unseat the president democratically elected in 2018 with absolute majority and with the people's vote? The quest for that is what we are going to discuss on House of Commons today. I am Tam James. I will be taking on this break, and when I come back, I will introduce to you my panel with whom we are going to discuss on today's edition of our program. This is House of Commons. If you are just watching, you're watching House of Commons, and with me, Tamai Jarvis, on today's edition of our program. I'll begin by introducing to you my guest, Songderi. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tamai Jarvis, for inviting me to be part of the panel of today, and a special thanks to the head of state and the Reconstruction Committee for a wonderful reconstruction taking place in Boyo subdivision, in Boyo division and Unicom subdivision. Wonderful burning of houses, which is good reconstruction.
Thank you very much. Of course, here in the studio, we equally have Mr. Moyan Edwin. Mr. Moyan Edwin, you're welcome to the program. Education is making its way for the very first time.
Thank you very much. That name is actually Munaya.
Okay, Munaya.
It's a pleasure being here today, and I hope it's going to be a great day. I just wish to greet those who are watching us live, and I think, like you said, it's my first time coming to your program, and I hope from today we can continue in this same light. Thank you for having me.
In the studio, we also have Alex Ngp, who is a member of the Cameroon Renewal Movement, a bona fide member and a cornerstone of that party. Alex, bienvenue.
Bonjour et bonjour à ceux qui sont avec nous sur ce plateau et aux millions de personnes qui nous suivent une fois de plus dans ce jour.
Thank you very much, Alex Ngp. And here, equally, we have Dr. Simo of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the party, the leading party in Cameroon. Dr. Simo, welcome.
Welcome. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I say welcome for everybody in this panel, and welcome for all your, what we call, Facebooker. Like this.
Yes.
Yes, Facebooker, not telespectators, so don't use Facebooker. I think that the different topic we will talk about with objectivity, because it's better now to talk everything with objectivity, with justice, I can say like this, and to not put emotion or bore politique. We call like this to explain something. It's better for us now to explain things clearly, honestly, and with many objectivities.
Thank you very much, Dr. Simo. And here we have Professor Mark. Professor Mark, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you watching at us out there, and to my fellow panelists. I believe that this is another blessed day that we are opportune to talk to the world, not just to Cameroonians. And this morning, I believe, is going to be good.
Thank you very much. These are the gentlemen and ladies with whom we are going to ride on for 1 hour 30 minutes as far as House of Commons is concerned. I'll begin with you, Alex Ngp. The motion for the first discussion is Anglophone crisis, which Professor Maurice KAMTO threatened to unseat the President of the Republic as far as handling of Anglophone crisis is concerned if he calls for regional elections. How possible is that?
Écoutez, c'est l'une des raisons, concernant l'appel du président élu, le professeur Maurice KAMTO, qui a demandé qu'on devrait obligatoirement résoudre la crise anglophone qui sévit au Cameroun depuis plus de 4 ans, si de manière directe, où les gens continuent à mourir depuis plus de 4 ans. Et on devrait aussi parler du code électoral, trouver un moyen de mettre sur pied le système électoral consensuel avant toute organisation d'élection au Cameroun, car on estime que le régime qui est en place est autiste. Ils ne veulent pas écouter ce que le peuple ou bien ce que les Camerounais sont en train de revendiquer, parce qu'il faudrait qu'on note que, entre autres, comme obligation qu'a le régime en place, ils ont l'obligation de rendre compte et ils ont aussi l'obligation d'instaurer un dialogue avec les partis politiques, la société civile. C'est même ça l'article 13 de la charte de la CADEC, la charte africaine de bonne gouvernance et de démocratie qui l'instaure. Donc nous sommes dans cette voie-là de dire, écoutez, on devrait dialoguer, on devrait discuter entre nous, on devrait mettre sur pied ce consensus pour le collectorat. Nous ne comprenons pas que même le RDPC sont conscients, la société civile, les Camerounais savent que le collectorat tel qu'il est aujourd'hui ne permettent pas ne permet pas qu'un président puisse être crédible aux des citoyens. Car nous sommes conscients, tout le monde est d'accord. On comprend par le fait que régime en place refuse catégoriquement de mettre sur pied ce collecteur consensuel. Nous disons également, la guerre où nous sommes, ça ne sert à rien de continuer à organiser des élections lorsque ces populations ne peuvent pas voter, lorsque ces populations-là on a retiré leur droit électoral, parce que il y a ce qu'on appelle le droit d'exprimer. On dit dans notre constitution, dans l'une des premiers articles, c'est que tous les citoyens naissent égaux en droit et devoir. Mais il est inadmissible que les gens aient été déportés, qu'il y ait une déportation sur une partie du peuple camerounais, et qu'on veuille forcément organiser une élection dont ils ne peuvent pas prendre part. D'abord, on a fait une première élection, ils n'ont pas pris part. Maintenant, on va organiser sur l'élection. On se rappelle même plus qu'aujourd'hui, tous ces gens qui ont été élus au nord-ouest, au sud-ouest, la plupart vivent à Douala et Yaoundé. Ils ne sont pas là-bas. Comment est-ce qu'on peut être organisé dans une telle localité et on n'est pas en contact avec ces populations? Alors que le conseil est celui qui est en contact avec la base, avec le peuple. C'est du conseil qu'émergent des projets dont les populations ont besoin pour leur développement. Encore même qu'on parle de la décentralisation, pour s'en tenir au propos du RDPC. Donc c'est à partir des conseils que les populations doivent dire, écoutez, monsieur le conseiller, tel pont est détruit, on devrait l'arranger. Même cette reconstruction dont on parle tant, ce sont les populations qui doivent identifier. Mais quand ils s'identifient, qui sont les gens vers qui est-ce qu'ils doivent se retourner? Ils doivent se retourner vers les conseils, mais ces conseils sont à Yaoundé. Donc nous estimons qu'on ne peut pas encore dire qu'on va encore mettre sur pied d'autres genres de conseils régionaux, parce qu'il faudrait qu'ils touchent à peu près 3 millions par an, parce qu'ils se réunissent 3 fois, je pense, 2 ou 3 fois par an. Et à chaque session, je pense que c'est 1 million de débités qui les est donné, parce qu'on devrait satisfaire certains mécontents du RDPC en organisant cette élection. Donc nous estimons que pour la sécurité, pour le bien-être du peuple camerounais, le plus important aujourd'hui n'est pas seulement d'organiser des élections, mais le plus important aujourd'hui est qu'on instaure un véritable dialogue entre les Camerounais et qu'on mette sur pied un code électoral consensuel, ce qui est normal. S'il n'y a rien de mal à cela, et l'appel à manifestation, parce que ce qui s'est passé, l'appel à manifestation du président élu, le professeur Maurice KAMTO, au cas où il y aurait des élections régionaux qui seraient organisées, alors le président Maurice KAMTO dit le peuple souverain, qui est le roi, devrait manifester pour exprimer à ceux-là qui ont l'ordre gouvernant que vous ne pouvez pas continuer dans cet autisme-là à prendre des décisions sans tenir compte de nos aspirations. Et il faut rappeler, ils vont dire qu'ils ont été élus. Ils vont pour chuter, ils vont dire qu'ils ont été élus. Mais on va leur dire, telle élection a été organisée. Ils ont une égalité, mais ils ne sont pas légitimes.
Alex, thank you.
On leur fasse comprendre. Leur élection est remise en cause.
Thank you. Professor Mark, before moving to Dr. Simo and other panelists, I think you are somehow kind of neutral in this perspective. You've listened to Alex. How possible is it? In 1996, there was an election boycotted by the Social Democratic Front, as I indicated. And that was a heavy blow to Cameroon's democracy. And that gave CBN the edge to take over the parliament. And SFA only came back struggling to grab the seat, and that's where we are today because of that election. And we saw the same thing in the 2019 municipal election, where CRM would have claimed some municipalities, but they boycotted. Will you blame CPDM government for the status quo now?
It's not a matter of pointing fingers to who or to who. The issue is that the declarations of the president of CRM were declarations out of space, because a person who has no elected official has, I don't know where he's coming from with the boldness to feel that he has authority to pull people out of their houses. The time when one of the greatest persons that I know that has been able to pull people out of their houses was Fundi. But in 1996, when he boycotted the elections, it created a situation where the party actually crumbled. If today we are talking of MRSC, it is because the people who were expecting to follow SDF joined them. Those who were expecting and believing that things are going to happen were expected that they should go for election in the past election that took place, but they never went in for election. And I remember I listened to Mr. KAMTO several times. He presented that he must participate in elections. I mean, there are videos that could be testimonies. He declared that he must participate in elections. There is no way he will stop his people from going to election. And just, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they bribed him or if they gave him, he took his share of his own money and decided to stop the elections. And when he did that,
and that was the registration were too close.
At the if, and it created a situation where a lot of the party of his members got angry. And to be sincere, there are a lot of them already have abandoned the party. I don't know, he's speaking from the air because he does not know whether he see our people or not. He should test it. When he called for people to come out, he will be surprised that nobody will step out. In Cameroon, I don't know where some of us we are coming from. I don't know if we are living in this same nation. That somebody who was with the SDF, left SDF, went to CPDM. CPDM came and he has created his own party. I cannot trust such a person to ever pull me out of my house. And so I don't believe that whatsoever is going to be saying will be credible. Because first of all, he had presented two sides from his mouth is like leaking. He says this, the next day he says the next thing. So you don't expect that I should follow such a person. And I don't expect that any Cameroonian of a right mind should be able to follow such a person.
Are you saying that the militants who are with him as of now are not of the right mind?
They are fanatics. We have fanatics out there. People who are fanatics are individuals who are ready to go in for anything. Because somebody has risen against the ruling party. I'm not for the ruling party. I'm not a politician either. And the ruling party in this country has caused us a lot of pain. But I cannot accept that call, and I will not even encourage anybody to follow that kind of call, that we should go out. How many times have you seen people gone out in Cameroon and they are not cracked down?
But KAMTO will tell you that the constitution of Cameroon guaranteed the freedom of expression. Like in 1990, there was a freedom of the 1990 law, which gave him a freedom of press, of the press, freedom of mass communication, and freedom of association, and that freedom to move to the street when you think things are not right.
You see, there is a problem.
He will tell you he's acting in conformity with the constitution.
One thing that you both fail to understand is this. We don't have a problem with the constitution. There's a constitution. When I say we don't have a problem, I'm not saying that the constitution does not have faults. The constitution is there, but it is not the constitution that's been implemented in this country since 1996 that was actually created. Let me ask you a question. We are talking today of establishing a decentralization. When was that inscribed in that particular constitution? Was that not in 1996? Why has it not been implemented? So we are actually in a nation without a constitution. It does not mean that people should use it as an opportunity and radicalize individuals.
Thank you very much. As Song, before coming to Dr. Simo and before coming to Mr. Edwin, Song, you've listened to both parties. I think we are looking at this perspective from the Anglophone crisis. Professor Maurice KAMTO is stating that there will not be any regional election in this country if Anglophone crisis is not resolved. First, at Verite and Fast, he said they were not going to look at federation, and he said decentralization was the key. He went to Canada, pressure mounted, and he said they were to look at the policy. In the United States, when he went to, he later on revealed that they will look at federation. And this time around, we are looking at him again in different facets, saying that because of Anglophone crisis, he will move over to the street if the regional elections are called up. And at the peak of this crisis in 2018, it was for a presidential election. Can he still pull the magic?
Thank you very much, Jarvis. You know, I think the idea of Professor Maurice KAMTO that the crisis in the southern Cameroon should be solved, it's a laudable idea. But for him to use the Anglophone pains as a stepping stone to score a political point is what we do not celebrate, because the Anglophones have already paid a lot with their blood. They have already cried a lot and cannot be able to join the Francophone masses who have sat in their houses not knowing what was even going on, and they have enjoyed. So if he's to pull that crowd, let him pull the French masses. Let them go and test the bullets of the masters of Yaoundé, because Anglophones have tested their own part of the bullets and they are tired. We are not ready to test the pain anymore. Because Maurice KAMTO, when he sat at in front of the journalist Vérité en face, that same day he lost more followers than he ever did, because he was speaking like a squealer in animal farm. He was jumping to the left. When he went out of the country, he said just another thing. It seems he speaks depending on the population that is presented in front of him. So the fact that he wants that this crisis or these problems in Cameroon should be resolved is a good thing. But the issue that we should be used as guinea pigs again is what we do not accept, because Anglophones of Cameroon have cried a lot. We have paid so much and we have buried a lot, and we will not join people who folded their arms from the beginning. Because if Maurice KAMTO and his followers could have come out at the beginning of this crisis to pull these masses, like the so-called one and indivisible Cameroon, to think that this country was one and indivisible, our French brothers would have joined automatically to say stop the killing in southern Cameroon. But nothing happened. It is when he kicked the penalty and the President Paul Biya caught the then he now comes to tell us that, like seriously, he now comes to tell us that no, he said the goal was scored, but Biya said he caught the ball. Because if the goal was scored, he should have been sitting at a 2D. But because the goal was not scored, that is why President Paul Biya is still sitting at a 2D, because that goal was not scored. So summarily, I'm saying that for the crisis in southern Cameroon to be resolved, it's good. That's our prayer point, that we want the crisis to be resolved. But that we should go to the street again and meet professional military people who shoot at target, and professional unprofessional fighters, restoration forces. My friend, nobody is a friend to a gun. Nobody loves gun. And even the military people who hold gun, they fear gun more than you and I, because they know the disaster that those guns have done. And Cameroon, mind you that Cameroon is a situation where when people go to the streets, they always retaliate with the guns. I have not seen any protest in Cameroon that did not meet tear gas and bullets, except it is organized by the ruling political party. If not, it welcomes gun. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Song. Dr. Simo, I would have loved to start with Edwin, but let me start with you, since you are the lone lady, because I wanted a system where you are of the ruling party, listen to the various parties. But Alex, again, I want you to understand that I've been giving equal timing for everybody, because I'm looking at the time. Dr. Simo, we're looking at this from a different context here. You are of the ruling party. In 1990, as I earlier indicated, there was a multi-party politics was reintroduced in Cameroon. Freedom was given to Cameroonians to join political parties, form political parties, campaign for their whichever candidate they want. In 1992, your party won the first presidential election under multi-party politics, and it's the trend now. But when we look at this Anglophone crisis at the whole, President Biya was one of the members of the ad hoc committee when it was formed by Aijo to look into Anglophone crisis. But till now we still have the crisis dancing on. What's your party doing as far as this Anglophone crisis is concerned? Is Maurice KAMTO not right to say that is supposed to unseat your president based on this?
Good for this question, but before I answer this question, permit me to talk about a few things. Parce qu'il est très important de souligner un certain nombre d'éléments. Et c'est pourquoi à l'entame, j'ai parlé d'objectivité et peu d'émotion sur cette affaire, parce que c'est très délicat. Et pour un universitaire que je respecte et que je vénère, qui est le professeur Maurice KAMTO, c'est honteux que jusqu'à ce niveau, c'est-à-dire au mois d'août, je crois que nous sommes au mois d'août, qu'on utilise encore des situations terribles pour faire son fonds de commerce. Parce qu'en principe, c'est de ça qu'il est question. Vous-même, vous l'aviez dit. Le professeur Maurice KAMTO est allé aux élections présidentielles en 2000.
2018, à the peak of the crisis.
Il n'y avait pas de crise anglophone. Mais à un moment un peu, arrêtons-nous, ayons honte. Et je crois que c'est en ce moment que la crise battait son plein.
Yeah, that was the peak of the crisis.
Mais en ce moment, non, il voulait être président du Cameroun et il est parti. Il n'y avait pas de crise anglophone. Il n'y avait pas de Boko Haram. Non, il est tranquille, il est parti. Aujourd'hui, maintenant, on est en train de parler d'élections régionales. C'est-à-dire une élection qui va s'asseoir sur des problématiques, c'est-à-dire de février, de double scrutin de février, c'est-à-dire législative et municipale. Quelqu'un qui délibérément, ça il faut le dire aux Camerounais, délibérément a refusé de participer aux élections présidentielles, aux élections municipales et législatives. L'espace qui lui aurait donné le pouvoir ou alors la possibilité de parler à haute et intelligible voix aujourd'hui. Mais malheureusement, c'est le candidat délibérément éliminé qui prend le devant et vous donne l'impression qu'il parle au nom du peuple. Arrêtons-nous et ayons...
He's saying, people say he has a point in that. He's saying that the regional the presidential election is different from the municipal election in terms of the two regions. He says that from his perspective, he could galvanize the 7 regions, the 8 regions and become president and resolve the problems of the 2 regions. But now, he wants that those within the Anglophone region, North and Southwest, should have the right to even have their representative in a peaceful manner.
I understand very well what you are saying. But he has nothing to say in this election. You have to say it.
Okay.
Il n'a rien à dire. Il est un téléspectateur qui va s'asseoir sous un arbre et regarder ce qui se passe. Parce qu'en principe, si les élections régionales ont lieu, ce serait la suite de ce qui est à dire des personnes qui ont été élues lors des élections législatives et municipales. On a affaire aux conseillers municipaux, on a affaire aux chefs traditionnels. Dites-moi, le MRC à quel conseiller municipal? Le MRC à quel chef traditionnel? Je crois que c'est une élection qui ne concerne en rien le MRC. Maintenant, moi ce que j'aurais aimé, qu'ils mettent en avant, n'est-ce pas, son intelligence universitaire. Qu'ils se disent, d'accord, moi je ne peux pas parler sur cette élection parce qu'il le sait. Alors je vais aller vers le SDF, je vais aller vers le PCMN, je vais aller vers les autres partis politiques et leur émettre mon point. Because even this point of view, au choix, on a parlé. Le SDF a fait allusion à la crise anglophone.
Nature is with Maurice KAMTO, Oshua is against Maurice KAMTO, so is...
That is a good idea. Il devrait aller vers les partis politiques qui se sont investis sur la question pour leur émettre son point de vue.
My question
maintenant, malheureusement, qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Il se comporte comme celui qui a la science infuse, l'information infuse. Et vous dit carrément, et ils ont cette manie vraiment sorcière.
Doctor, my question now is...
Please excuse me. En se comportant quand il parle, c'est comme si c'était au nom du peuple. Nous, le peuple, on ne veut pas. Mais excusez-moi, le MRC n'a rien à voir sur les relations.
Okay, Doctor, I think, let me ask you briefly, you have 1 minute for this, let me ask you briefly. Can we say that your party has failed, not only failed in resolving the Anglophone crisis, but has bad faith because the president was at the head of the ad hoc committee that was former President Aijo to resolve the Anglophone crisis. Until now, he is now the president and has created ad hoc committees, and we are still witnessing the crisis. Is Professor Maurice KAMTO not right to say that no regional election without the resolvation of the ongoing Anglophone crisis?
Permettez, avec honnêteté et humilité, on ne peut pas dire que la crise anglophone n'est pas en train d'être traitée par le gouvernement en place. Soyons un tout petit peu honnêtes avec nous-mêmes. Je suis d'accord que les choses ne sont pas faites comme elles devraient l'être. Moi, je le dis avec honnêteté. Mais il y a une amélioration qui peut être observable. Il y a une amélioration. Il y a des efforts qui sont consentis par le chef de l'État. Mais maintenant, derrière cette crise anglophone, il y a un ensemble de paramètres que nous, hommes politiques, nous refusons de voir. Il y a des partis politiques d'opposition qui en ont utilisé cette crise anglophone pour déstabiliser le régime en place, il faut le dire. Il y a des ONG qui sont assis derrière cette crise anglophone pour déstabiliser le régime en place, il faut le dire. Il y a des pays qui ont hébergé, qui sont en train d'héberger jusqu'aujourd'hui les sécessionnistes, les meneurs de troupes dans des pays étrangers, qui sont en train de le faire pour déstabiliser le régime en place, il faut le dire. Sans oublier maintenant les sécessionnistes qui sont sur place, qui sont à l'encontre, qui ne veulent pas voir les pleurs des mamans, les pleurs des enfants, les pleurs des papas qui sont en train de dire stoppons, c'est nous qui perdons. Donc on ne peut pas te dire, On ne peut pas dire au jour d'aujourd'hui, avec tous ces ensembles d'éléments, que le chef de l'État n'est pas en train de vouloir résoudre cette crise. Sinon, la main tendue, quand on a commencé à approcher les socialistes en prison pour échanger sur la question, c'est parce qu'on veut des solutions.
Doctor, we'll be coming back to you.
We can never say that nothing was done.
We'll be coming back to you. I think it's good enough to make the panel objective and give everybody the same time to speak. Mr. Edwin, you are an educationist, and we understand that you know about the Anglophone crisis from when it started until now, and possibly the effect of this crisis on the students and the general population. Looking at the Professor Maurice KAMTO, if regional elections are to be called up, the truth is his party will not go in for the election because they don't have the criteria. They are not eligible for this election. The regional election is not like the municipal election, which everybody has to go and register, and it's just for the councillors and those who are in place. But yet, KAMTO is saying that he will call for a peaceful protest to ask the president if Anglophone crisis is not resolved before calling for regional elections. Is KAMTO not correct to say that Anglophone crisis should be resolved before regional elections?
I think KAMTO is consistently inconsistent. If you look at the trends of his ideas, you realize that he's never been so consistent in bringing his ideas to the general public. I just want to ask you a question. He wants that the Anglophone, I don't like to call it Anglophone crisis, I like to call it the problem of the Southern Cameroons.
Okay.
If you want that problem to be solved, let the right things be done. Let me ask you, since this crisis started, has Professor KAMTO gone to either Biya or Bamenda? He's never gone there. So how does he want to resolve it? How does he want the crisis to be resolved? If he had gone there, like the other panelists, Derek said, he would have seen the boys with the guns. He maybe would have been caught in crossfire. Then he will understand what it means to organize a mass protest against this regime. Maybe he has never had somebody being shot who is so close to him because of the crisis. Speaking here, I stood one day and lost 5 people. 5 boys with whom we used to sit and watch a football match. And the pain has never left me since then. And if he wants that this crisis should be resolved, let him go there and try to talk to the people. I remember when he went to America, was it Canada?
Canada first.
Somebody wanted to present a point, but because he was wearing a flag they don't recognize, he refused to talk to him. Now, that's another problem. If you know that this person has a problem and he's identifying himself with an ideology, don't shun him away. Bring him closer, talk to him, take off what you don't like, and implant what you want in him. KAMTO has never done that. Yet he wants people to go to the streets. His idea of unseating the present president is not a bad thing. But the approach to unseating him is the problem.
He's talking about the peaceful protest here. How feasible is that?
You are talking about
because
peace.
Minister Atanganji replied him and stated that the SDOs and DOs know what to do.
That's what I'm saying, that he is saying that peaceful. On the 22nd of September and the 1st of October 2016, what happened? Were the people who protested in the Southern Cameroon not holding peace plans? Was it not a peaceful protest? What did they meet? They met with professional soldiers who shot at them. Many died, many were wounded. So with that kind of experience, I for one, I will not encourage anybody to go to the streets to unseat this regime, because they'll be meeting their doom. And that is one of the things that the regime has put in place, which is like their strongest point.
Okay.
I don't want to see this regime with the street protests.
Okay, you have 1 minute now to answer this before coming to others in GP. I think it's good that we've gone around. I want to ask you this question. If we look at the context under which Maurice KAMTO is saying they want to unseat the president, you raised an issue of the flag. The Cameroon flag is green, red, yellow with a yellow star in the middle. Professor Maurice KAMTO went to America and received a delegation with the former flag, which is not a flag of Cameroon. And he received that delegation, but in Canada he refused a delegation with a flag which is not the flag of Cameroon, and yet he's saying he wants to resolve the Anglophone crisis. Can he actually pull the string, assuming that he wants to be the president of Cameroon? Can he solve the Anglophone crisis? Looking at what you said, he's radically inconsistent. He's radically inconsistent.
Well, you know, KAMTO going in for the presidential election in the first place, he thought wrongly that he was going to win. And when he kicked the penalty and scored, like he said, or some other person caught the ball, his wall came crumbling, because he thought that when he becomes the president, he will now put in place mechanisms that will help solve the Anglophone or the Southern Cameroon's problem. Presently, he has no elected officials, so he cannot call the shots. Like Doctor said, he doesn't have what it takes in Cameroon, especially in the political sphere, to cause any change. Because I doubt if Professor has that following which he thinks he has.
Thank you very much. He says, greetings, great panelists on board is Mune Mark Hill Ebong from Biya. Professor Maurice KAMTO is very much frustrated and lacks the political will and vision to rule the state of Cameroon. Politics is not law, but complements law in its effect. I think you should tell that to Professor Maurice KAMTO. He struggled to win a good number of Cameroonians in the presidential election, but stopped to enjoy the support when he stopped his party from running for the municipal and legislative election. I think we should support the legitimate president, Paul Biya, to move this country forward. This other one reads, it says, hi Jarvis, Anglophone crisis has been made a caricature by Cameroonian politicians. How come someone who have never accepted any of the plight of the Anglophone community in Cameroon saying he's waging a fight on their behalf? Shame on this. Thank you very much. I think when you raise the writing to us, avoid using some kind of aggressive word. This other one reads, it says, I'm Hilary from Kumba. Professor KAMTO should stop leading Cameroonians to be more confused. That is not what we need now in this country. If they want to help in solving this crisis, they should do that. He is a legal man and knows the procedure to take. Thank you very much, Hilary. Alex Ngepi, you've listened to the various panelists and the messages that we read. I want to ask you the same question again. If we look at the context in which Cameroon is, as far as suppressing peaceful protest is concerned, how possible is that for Maurice KAMTO, who will come out? First, you don't have the criteria, you're not eligible for regional elections.
Non, écoutez, je vais d'abord rappeler quelque chose là, qui est très important. C'est que j'ai su sur ce plateau, les gens disent que le MRC, le professeur Maurice KAMTO, le président élu, aurait, dans une chaîne concurrente, dit que le MRC était pour la décentralisation. Je dis c'est archi faux. Et je vous mets au défi de sortir cette bande-là, de voir là où il est dit. Je le parle en tant que porte-parole MRC actuellement dans ce plateau. Le MRC n'a jamais dit qu'il fallait que ce soit la décentralisation. Nous avons dit et réitéré en ce moment-là que pour la forme de l'État, c'était assez difficile qu'une personne puisse se prononcer. Qu'au moment venu, il fallait passer par un référendum et que c'est le peuple camerounais qui devrait choisir quelle est la forme de l'État idéale pour eux. C'est ce que nous avons toujours soutenu à ce moment-là. Maintenant, avec l'évolution politique, avec cette crise, après le dialogue national, nous avons donc décidé de dire nous allons prendre fait et cause pour une forme de l'État. Nous avons décidé d'être dans la forme de l'État, dans le fédéralisme, car on a estimé que nous devions prendre parti et que nous devions nous exprimer sur cette question-là. Donc le MRC, avant ça, ne s'était jamais prononcé pour une forme de l'État. Et je voudrais, monsieur Elvis, en tant que porte-parole MRC, si que vous rectifiez cela, vous ne pouvez pas laisser dire de telles choses, de tels mensonges sous un plateau aussi sérieux. C'est pas possible. Je vous mets au défi de sortir la bande où le professeur KAMTO l'aurait dit. Il ne l'a jamais dit. Il ne l'a jamais dit. Maintenant, ceci étant passé au peigne fin, je tiens aussi à rappeler que tout à l'heure, je remarque que le bourreau devient lent. C'est-à-dire, M. Biapol, le RDPC, qui a tué, qui a commis des génocides en zone anglophone, tout de suite, je vois mon ami anglophone.
Vraiment, soyons. Je ne voudrais pas qu'on joue à un ping-pong, mais on peut pas. I think that it's very dangerous what you say. No, we can never say like this. Il faudrait qu'on soit sérieux.
Alex,
on lui parle de son présent avec des exemples précis. Donc, ne jouons pas à ce jeu.
Alex,
parce que pour une fois, tout le monde est d'accord sur un point de vue.
Continue with this program on this brief jingle break.
Can't do it like need, hein? Donc c'est pas parce qu'il se rend compte que pour une fois tout le monde est d'accord qu'il va lâcher une telle imbécilité et vous avalez. Non, c'est pas dans le jeu. Ça ne peut passer.
I want to apologize for the quick break, looking at the aspect that we always disagree to agree. I think, Alex, you have the floor.
Oui, je dis et je réitère, pour nous c'est un génocide. Je pèse mes mots. Au MRC, nous disons ce qui se passe en zone anglophone, il y a déportation. Quand nous employons le terme déportation, nous disons une déportation fait suite à un génocide. Donc nous accusons et nous accusons le RDPC.
You are responsible for your words.
Nous sommes responsables. Et ce n'est pas la première fois que nous le disons pour accuser le RDPC. Et je disais tantôt que nous sommes surpris que le bourreau devient l'ange. Parce que je vois mon journaliste anglophone ici qui se met à peindre le RDPC, à habiller le RDPC. Je ne sais pas si c'est la mission de le faire, mais son point de vue, et nous respectons la divergence de point de vue, de croire que les gens qui meurent au sud-ouest et au nord-ouest, là, faut aussi la responsabilité de M. KAMTO. Non. Le président KAMTO, pour votre information, est le premier homme politique, hormis le leader du SDF, Fondi, qui se trouve toujours, qui s'est toujours trouvé au nord-ouest et au sud-ouest. Il est le premier homme politique à se rendre au nord-ouest en 1995, même avant que cette crise ne commence. Et depuis lors, je vous mets au défi de me donner le nom d'un seul homme politique, autre leader politique, président d'un parti politique, hormis le SDF et les partis politiques qui sont dans la zone anglophone, qui s'y est rendu. Ça n'existe pas. Et en 1995, le président KAMTO avait déjà eu à attirer l'attention du gouvernement camerounais en disant ceci pourra dégénérer. Il a fait. Monsieur Biapol, qui est supposé être le président du Cameroun, même si c'est illégitime, aurait dû, en tant que président, pour nous sommes responsables, oui, il aurait dû se rendre au Nozo. Il ne l'a jamais fait. Et les Camerounais continuent à être tués dans le nord, au sud-ouest. Et les gens sur ce plateau viennent faire comme si c'est monsieur KAMTO, le président KAMTO, qui envoie l'armée là-bas pour mettre ces crimes atroces. Nous disons non. Il faudrait qu'on restitue cela. Et quand on parle de la crise anglophone, je ne voudrais pas, quand quelqu'un nous dit sur ce plateau que le président KAMTO, le MRC, n'a pas d'élu pour appeler le peuple à manifester. Mais en 90, il n'y a pas de politique d'opposition avec quel élu. Mais les gens sont sortis. Les gens sont sortis manifester. Voir un ras-bol. Les gens ont demandé la conférence nationale souveraine. Il n'y avait pas d'élus. Je pense même qu'à l'époque, on était encore dans un parti État. Donc cette façon-là de faire croire au peuple camerounais qu'il faut avoir des élus, des gens mal élus. Je vous mets au défi. Ceux qui sont élus là, on a récemment tué un maire dans le nord-ouest, sud-ouest, n'est-ce pas? Où sont ces conseillers? On nous fait comprendre.
Alex, I know you have a microphone. Let me do a fact check. I was doing a fact check to what you were saying. On the 17th of January 2020, Professor Maurice KAMTO met with Thibault Nagy and proposed that the effective decentralization is what will solve Cameroon's problem. I will give you a video of Verite and Fast. I'll give you a video of Verite. I want to do fact checking. We are educating Cameroonians, and if we be honest what we are saying, I will give you a video of Verite and Fast where Professor Maurice KAMTO said, and I quote, that we cannot be talking about federation as it was in the days before. The nation has to move forward. Effective decentralization is what will move the nation forward. You said he never said that. You are quoting my media plan by saying they are lying.
Monsieur le présentateur, le modérateur, par ailleurs même, le conciliateur, parce que ce que vous êtes, c'est mon de parole, je crois que vous allez faire, vous avez le temps de le faire, si vous me permettez. C'est un peu un débat entre vous.
No, but you just quoted
that
my media plan is lying.
Notre position. Le point du MRC, il ne l'a jamais dit, je vous ai dit.
Puisque les preuves sont là,
s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît,
vous ne pouvez pas insulter tout le monde sur un plateau, estimer qu'on reste tranquille, on vous regarde.
Monsieur le modérateur, je pense que j'ai encore la parole, n'est-ce pas? Alors, je vous ai mis au défi de chercher cette vidéo où il a dit. Je vous ai dit, il n'a pas dit.
Maintenant, vous la plantez même sur l'écran, c'est mieux.
S'il vous plaît.
Tout le monde suit.
S'il vous plaît.
Okay, he has 2 minutes. Let's give him his 2 minutes.
S'il vous plaît. Je suis en train de faire comprendre que le RDPC ici, dans ce plateau, qui est en train de commettre des génocides au Nozo, devient subitement le parti le plus propre du Cameroun, le parti qui est aimé par les Camerounais, par les gens du nord-ouest, du sud-ouest. Il faudrait qu'on arrête ces comédies-là. Il faudrait qu'on arrête cette comédie. Effectivement, nous sommes allés aux élections en 1998, nous sommes allés aux élections en 1993, en 2013, en 2018. C'est fort de cette expérience-là que le MRC a dit. Aller en aux élections dans ces conditions, c'est pas monsieur, madame. Alors je vais se faire surtout de parole. Effectivement, nous sommes allés aux élections en 2018 et en 2013. C'est fort de cette faute, c'est au sortir avec cette expérience-là que nous avons décidé de ne plus prendre part aux élections. De dire, il fallait d'abord qu'on s'assied et qu'on discute. Parce que si le MRC n'avait pas eu à prendre part à ces élections, on aurait dit, vous n'avez jamais voulu prendre part aux élections. Quelle expérience avez-vous pour discréditer le code électoral? Parce qu'on n'a pris part à ces élections, comme nous disons, ce système électoral n'est plus bien. Et je tiens aussi à prendre l'opinion. Vous avez tellement coupé. Vous et la dame, en entrant dans le temps de parole, que je veux, quand je le ferai, ça devrait être aussi toléré. Je tiens aussi à prendre l'opinion internationale à témoin. Dans un système démocratique, le pouvoir, la souveraineté appartient au peuple camerounais. C'est le peuple qui est titulaire de la souveraineté. C'est le peuple qui est titulaire. Maintenant, monsieur Elvis, je dis bien mon temps pour être dormant coupé. Et je tiens donc. Si vous êtes en mission pour venir ici là, bon, tout peuple anglophone, que vous êtes du côté du RDPC, jouez votre rôle. Parce que vous ne pouvez pas laisser les gens dire sur ce plateau des choses gravissimes et vous ne voulez pas qu'on réponde. Quand ils s'expriment, vous laissez parler pendant 10-15 minutes, je ne me plains pas, je reste silencieux. Donc, je tiens donc à dire que le peuple camerounais, dans son ensemble, est victime d'une injustice économique, d'une injustice politique, d'une injustice sociale. Et il serait grand temps que les gens s'asseyent et puissent discuter. Voilà ce que le MRC demande tout simplement. Asseyons-nous et discutons. Le demander n'est pas un crime. Demander qu'on discute, c'est quoi le crime à cela? Les gens disent qu'on envoie dans la rue, on n'envoie personne dans la rue. On dit asseyons-nous et discutons, trouvons un consensus.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex, finally, for landing. We want to do this interjection. We respect the fact that the program is 1 hour 30 minutes, and we're going to ensure that it's 1 hour 30 minutes, and everybody is going to have an effective way of talking. We have 2 motions for today. We are still on the first motion, and we will summarize this motion. The next motion will move to farmers, Atanganji's communicate how farmers, butchers are surviving. I'll move to you, Professor Mark, briefly, when we summarize this same topic. When we look at the ongoing upheaval, Alex has raised some issues which I think we cannot overlook, based on the fact that Anglophones the Anglophone crisis is causing pain on both sides of the affected victims. We have the victims, the government and military officials are all paying the price. How should this be resolved without moving to the streets?
Certainly, I'll begin by saying a lot of pain is actually involved in what we are discussing here as if it's a joke. Cameroonians, the southern Cameroonians are dying in their numbers. Every day, as we are talking now, some of them are under gunshot. And so we are talking here, I don't know why politicians would take something so serious like this and clown with it. The day my wife was shot in front of me, I saw 4 young men shot also. Unfortunately for them, they were killed that day. My own wife was not. She was just wounded. So at times, when I hear politicians talk about it, I get more angry because it is not something to joke with. It is a problem that is supposed to be solved. I am not here saying that it is Maurice KAMTO who is supposed to solve the problem. He did not create the problem. And that does not also mean that he should use it as a card to play his politics. If, in case, all of us, we know that it is the mismanagement of the situation, the anger of the people that has resulted to a crisis as such. And to solve the problem will only entails that they should meet up with the demands of the people. I know some people have taken it and now they want total separation. But it did not start from that position. When lawyers came together and asked that they should give them the opportunity to be able to present their cases in court that are actually run by Anglophone, let's say common law magistrates, that was a legal demand. That was a demand that was okay. When teachers said, please, we don't want Francophone teachers in Anglophone classes, it was okay. That was a problem that would have been solved without hesitation. But when he sends ministers to go handle it, when he sent ministers to go handle it, he sent ministers to go handle it. What did they do? The ministers went and aggravated the problem. So it became a problem. Now lives are being taken. We can't come and sit on this platform and begin to clown with it. And I'll be sincere to tell you this, Mr. Jarvis. It is not a political situation. Let them stop playing politics with the lives of people. We have military people who are dying every day. We have Amber boys who are all Cameroonians dying every day. Worst of it are innocent and civilians who are out there who are not involved, who are being killed every day. So we don't come and clown with it. So I think that if the president of MRSA wants to present a situation, he should not use that Anglophone crisis, because I heard Tungepe say that he went to Bamenda in 2015. The crisis did not start in 2015. Good. It started actually in 2016. But it aggravated in 2016. But
he has militants on the ground who are giving him.
CPDM has militants.
The Republic has never been to
CPDM
Southwest region since this crisis started.
Yes, that one is true. He said they should quote one person out of Nijon. Plus his
non,
man.
Ceux des partis anglophones qui sont là-bas.
Oui.
Et le reste là qui.
There is none. Voilà. Not even your own president has not gone there.
Depuis 95, de 2015.
Oh, this man. Stop playing games. 2015. No. 2015 there was no crisis.
Ah, c'est Paul Biya qui me fait. Quand je suis signé ses pieds par l'internet de son secrétaire général.
Il faut allow me to talk. Can you allow me to talk?
Okay, it's okay.
Can you allow me to talk?
It's okay. I think let's move now to the civil society and education, is because we move to the Marco. We're coming back to you. We'll be coming back to you. We'll coming back to you. No, we're coming back to you. We're coming back to you. Mr. Derrick, I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this, Mr. Derrick. When we look at briefly, I think this briefly. what is the way out of this situation? You categorically state that you don't want protests at all. That based on the experience of North and Southwest region, the way in which Maurice KAMTO needs to use to ask the president should be in a different platform, not to protest.
Let me take back my words, or let me give you the words I used. I said Anglophones will not be able to join that call of Maurice KAMTO because we have sacrificed a lot. Our blood has spilled a lot, have run like rivers in the streets, and we are tired. We will not join that call. That is what I said. But the French brothers can come to the streets if they want. Let them test the taste of the bullets that we have tested in southern Cameroon, because we have been used as guinea pigs. And Alex made a statement here that he is surprised to see Anglophones siding with the CPDM. We are not siding with the CPDM.
What are you doing?
We are not siding with the CPDM. Can I talk?
What are you doing?
Please, can I talk? Can I talk?
Can I talk?
We are not siding with the CPDM because CPDM has given us more pain than any other person in this world can give. That party has raped off all the goodies we had, and everything has become centralized to particular individuals, where they are made up of politicians, people who are interested in their stomachs. But to think that we are going to support this move and this call by KAMTO, who has watched us die for 4 years in silence, we refuse. The politics of in case you don't know, as a cause and in case you don't know, in case you don't know, 2018 was the peak of the Anglophone crisis, where guns started visiting the street frequently. But he went in for presidential election and lost it. And now he wants to use us like guinea pigs. I'm saying it, and I will say it clearly that the politics of Cameroon, southern Cameroonians are no longer interested.
Okay, thank you.
We don't like the politics of Cameroon.
Good afternoon, Javi. Thank you, David. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Jarvis. This is Boraga in Douala. Professor Maurice KAMTO is as compared to Mr. Ott in one of my junior secondary novels. What he is doing now is trying to earn the sympathy of his followers, because he knows that he has lost their confidence. I will encourage his followers to take to the street. I will encourage his followers to take to the street to meet the same fate what happens to us in 2016. Maybe after that they might understand what is happening in southern Cameroon. And this other one says, Mr. Moderator, we appreciate when there is order in the house. I think this is coming from a viewer, not me. This other one says, House of Commons, my suggestion is that 8 regions rise up, the spirit, 8 regions rise up to unseat their president. I think we'll go now on a normal SMS. This one says, good afternoon to the House of Commons. Doctor is emotional. Southern Cameroonians are not interested in regional elections, but the party should just go and select the few Anglophones. And since the moderator is not balanced. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. Maurice KAMTO has never been sincere in his statement as somebody who wants to solve the crisis. He's singing this song now because he wants us to be political. He wants to use it for his political goal, whereas he went to elections for the presidential elections. Please, when you send us a message, text us where you are, indicate where you are texting us from. Good afternoon, Jarvis. Okay, please be civil in your message. We are briefly, but right now with this first part, I'll start with you. I'll continue with you before coming to Dr. Simo to conclude. I'm sorry that you will not have to talk on this issue again because it's a burning issue. Mr. Edwin, I'll start with you. When we look at this aspect of this Professor Maurice KAMTO calling the shot. allengagedcitizens has raised issues that Anglophones are citing with the ruling party. Perhaps feasible is that with the ruling party. Are you citing with the ruling party? Do you?
I've never been a member of the ruling party. Never will. First and foremost, I'm a political. I'm not a politician. But to say that I am siding with to say that I'm siding with the CPDM is not true. The fact is that the CPDM has cost us much in this country. Not only the Southern Cameroonians, but our Francophone brothers. If you go to the 10 regions of Cameroon, you are going to see that the people are living in misery. Not only the opposition people are suffering, even those of the CPDM are also suffering. And if they feel that they are suffering, according to Maurice KAMTO, they could rise up and put an end to it. But what I am saying is, knowing the kind of people who govern us, knowing that they don't have pity for the common man, knowing that they use the barrel of the gun to intimidate and shun political opponents, I will not encourage that kind of a move. The Anglophones, like you rightly said, have suffered so much. I think if Maurice KAMTO is serious, he should start by trying to buffer a solution himself. What efforts has he made to bring the Anglophones himself to the table?
KAMTO will tell you that first he had gone out for international outing, he had met with Thibault Nagy, he has met with the European Union, he has met with the German consulate to ensure that this crisis is resolved, and he has called for effective dialogue, and he equally questioned the legitimacy of the GND, the Grand National Dialogue, which he stated that should have been called from a professional perspective, and is equally stating that he has been there at the forefront to ensure that this crisis is resolved before elections are called up. So to say he has not done a lot, maybe it may be a sweeping statement.
What is the result? We are not, see, if you are putting an effort in something, you should see the results. That's the truth about it. And to think that the international community will solve this problem, to me, I don't see it coming. Where have they been? Look at Mali. Just a day that the military took over, the ECOWAS is there every day. Okay, but we have been here. Nobody seems to care about us. So I think that what Maurice KAMTO should do is rally his political friends, those of the opposition party, try to talk to them. I don't know if you have done that, so they can come now together.
Going to what Doctor said earlier, that he can go behind the other various political parties that have the mandate.
Yes, and work with them. They can try to bring a solution without necessarily involving the government, because the government cannot solve this problem. The problem cannot be solved by them. It should be solved by the Cameroonians themselves.
Doctor, briefly, Professor Mar, we may not have time for your reaction. We will move to part 2 of the program. Doctor, your president has never been to North and Southwest regions from 2016. Till when the crisis at the fever peak. We've seen in other countries where when there's a major crisis like that, the president goes to the field and see what is happening. Like in Chad, we have the president of Chad is called himself the field marshal. He goes around and supervises the ongoing battle. But we have not seen that. And I asked you a question a while ago. I think when we started, you've still not been able to give me an answer, or maybe you have presented the answer, but I did not get it clearly. President Biya was at the ad hoc committee alongside the way to Lunganjoma. When the Anglophone crisis started, Professor Bernard Fallon has raised issue to President Biya. Penda Ekoko said he had issued out issues that there may be a crisis coming up. Until now, His Excellency President Biya has been unable to resolve the crisis. What is stopping your party to take what they had during the first ad hoc committee when he was still there to just implement to solve the Anglophone crisis? Is it not bad faith?
C'est peut-être facile ou alors aisé d'établir la comparaison quand ça nous arrange. Mais ce que nous devons reconnaître, et ça personne ne va me contredire ici, c'est que le président Paul Biya, nous le connaissons. C'est quelqu'un qui ne parle pas trop. Je n'ai pas dit que c'est bon, mais il faudrait qu'on me suive jusqu'au bout. C'est quelqu'un qui ne parle presque pas, moi je vais le dire comme ça. C'est quelqu'un qu'on suit généralement lors des discours de février ou de 20 mai, c'est quelqu'un qui nous a habitués à un système de vie. Pour répondre à la question, je veux partir sur la question de la Covid-19. Vous vous souvenez quand le Cameroun était dans un pic, dans une période très forte de pandémie, où tous les chefs d'État, Donald Trump était en train de sautiller dans tous les États-Unis et partout. Je vous en prie, permettez, j'arrive. Justement, c'est moi qui établis la comparaison, librement. On voyait Donald Trump sauter dans toutes les ruelles des États-Unis. Mais le chef de l'État était toujours presque invisible, pour ne pas dire invisible. Je vais t'aider à le dire. Invisible. Mais son caractère invisible, ça vous seriez d'accord, n'a pas empêché que l'OMS salue la manière avec laquelle le Cameroun a géré la pandémie. Parce que simplement, nous avons un chef d'État qui a une méthode de division du travail. Voilà la méthode réelle du chef de l'État. C'est quelqu'un qui n'aime pas les front office, mais n'est pas qu'office. Vous n'allez pas dire au jour d'aujourd'hui que le chef de l'État n'est jamais allé, depuis que la crise anglophone a commencé. Non, son premier ministre, il l'a envoyé. C'est membre du gouvernement qui l'a envoyé. It means that
it's the same argument that MRC is putting, that they have representatives, like in Biya, there's Cyril, there are members in Limbe, there are members in Kumba, there are members that are giving the president a report.
Please listen to me, can never make a comparison between Prof. Maurice KAMTO and
Why?
on ne peut pas établir une comparaison entre un citoyen et le chef de l'État have a government. It means that it can have some.
No, that's your argument.
On ne peut pas établir une comparaison entre un individu, un citoyen et un chef de l'État. Parce que si vous dites non, vous seriez donc d'accord avec Maurice KAMTO qui appelle l'armée camerounaise. Et je vais vous demander, il appelle l'armée camerounaise en tant que qui? Il n'est pas chef des armées suprême, non. Donc établissons la contradiction clairement. Maurice KAMTO, jusqu'à preuve de contraire, est un citoyen camerounais. Et d'ailleurs, vous l'aviez démontré. Pour montrer combien de fois il est pas le vous l'aviez démontré. Si Maurice KAMTO va vous démontrer qu'il a la possibilité de rassembler le maximum de Camerounais, pourquoi n'a-t-il pas rassemblé le maximum de Camerounais pour marcher pour la crise anglophone? Parce qu'il en est capable. Pourquoi? Ça, vous l'aviez dit. Là, vous l'aviez dit. Donc, vous comprenez que c'est juste une instrumentalisation. Ce n'est qu'une utilisation pour des fins individuelles. Only.
Let me ask you this question briefly. So I'll move to match Cutlass issue. Please, it's okay. I need clarifications. Cameroonians are watching right now and they need to be educated as to what is happening in the country. We must not talk with emotions. We must present facts and we must respect the right of individuals. We must respect the right of individuals to express their opinion from an objective position. Doctor, briefly, we have 2 minutes to switch up to the next topic, to the next motion, which we will talk about that for 15 minutes because of time constraint. You said we should not compare Professor Maurice KAMTO with President Biya. I want to get this clarification. Professor Maurice KAMTO is chairman of his party. He is the second political party to come during the just ended presidential election, meaning that he, as the record holds now, he is the major political party in Cameroon after the presidential election. And now President Biya is the chairman of the CPDM party. Both are chairmen. Professor Maurice KAMTO is a Cameroonian, a concerned Cameroonian, a senior citizen that still have the right to ask the military to assume their full responsibility. Are you saying that these things should not be compared with?
Je suis très d'avis avec toi. On a un professeur Maurice KAMTO qui est chef d'un parti politique qui est camerounais, ça tout le monde le reconnaît. Mais de l'autre côté, on a un autre individu qui est, voilà, élu par un code. Ne me distrayez pas, parce que vous savez ce que je veux dire. On a de l'autre côté un autre citoyen camerounais, mais qui, heureusement, est non seulement citoyen camerounais, mais chef de l'État. Ça veut dire qu'à un moment, il y aura des prérogatives que l'un aura, que l'autre n'aura. La preuve, I want to end with this, la preuve, et ça, il ne va pas le nier, parce que depuis, j'ai pas envie de le prouver davantage. Les propos, même la sortie du président du MRC a été une contradiction, même dans son propre parti. Demandez-lui s'il a eu la sortie de Jamen. Il a eu la sortie de Nadjam à la suite de ce qu'a dit son président, il le sait.
Okay,
donc on arrête un peu de tromper les Camerounais comme s'ils étaient devenus des sous-présidents. Dans son propre parti, ça ne marche pas. D'ailleurs, ça on le sait. Merci.
Thanks for watching, and we want to say that we apologize for the chaotic nature. Remember that Cameroon gives freedom of speech, freedom of expression as of the 1990 press law. Dear SDO, dear divisional officers, I write to apply for machete, I write to apply for the use of cutlass. These are the letters we've been seeing springboarding on social media, various social media. You see people writing that, please, dear SDO, I have a pig behind my house that I want to kill, so I want to apply to get machete. And you see, because of the law put in place by the communique signed in place by Minister Paul Atanganji in the North and Southwest region, and I must tell you that it's commonplace to see this happen. But the issue why we are bringing this is how our farmers, butchers coping as far as this is concerned, and how feasible is that to effectively take place in North and Southwest region. We've seen situations where people have gone down in their farms as far as machete is concerned. We cannot authentically verify whether it's because they were restoration fighters or they just had their machete unregistered. But we will be looking at this to see how they are surviving. I'll begin with you, Dean, because I know when I come with the other members, we will definitely take the whole day. How are farmers coping as far as this is concerned? How feasible is this?
That was one of those decisions that are so unreasonable to take. I'll begin by saying that the decision Mr.
Paul Atanganji is one of the problems of the Anglophones. When the crisis started, on national TV, he said there was no Anglophone problem, that he will say it today, tomorrow, and whenever, that there was no Anglophone problem. He had said that, unfortunately for him, his president came and said there was a problem, and let's try to see how we can solve it. He sent people to Bamenda to meet with the lawyers, with the teachers, and negotiations were ongoing until it backfired. Other horrible decisions had been taken. Unfortunately, these decisions are not taken considering the common man. There was a time he said bikes should not be used, and that made people who depended on that to go suffer for months. Now he has come with the most disastrous decision that people must register their machetes.
You are from the Northwest, you
Yes.
are from Southwest region.
Yeah,
You are a farmer.
I am.
The cutlass you used before this law came into existence, have you registered it, or do you intend to register?
That's where the problem is. I can still go register it, right? But then, how many people will do register theirs? That's the problem. Have they taken stock of the number of cutlasses that are in stores? Have they even considered the man in the village who does not even know the procedure to go register the machete? How do you expect a community that depends on agriculture to go register machetes before they use them? Where I work, to get to the nearest town is about 60 kilometers. Now, should people leave that area to travel 60 kilometers to go and register their machetes before they come and use? What kind of decision is that? So to me, I think that was so unreasonable. And if this government is serious, let them revisit that decision and withdraw it.
Okay, thank you. Son Derek, you have families in the Northwest region and Southwest region. occasionally you do visit these regions. As far as we are almost 2 weeks, getting to 3 weeks from Mr. Paul Atanganji communique, has your mother, father, brothers, have they registered to get this machete operational?
Do you want me to
How are they surviving now?
Do you want me to say yes? Unfortunately, you are asking the question at a time where, as I started in the program, there is wonderful reconstruction going on in my village by the presidential team, where houses are being burned down and everything is happening. I don't know whether it is because machetes were not registered.
Where is that?
I'm talking about Boyo division. Yes, everywhere is on fire. There's wonderful reconstruction ongoing there because that's the team we have. You know, the Cameroon government is a hall of comedians. You don't need to pay to laugh. You just need to sit and be laughing at what is happening. Because when such communiques are published and then they circulate over time without any call to order, we want to think that everybody around is an accomplice. Because people cannot be suffering, dying and in need, and people sit in their climatized offices in Yaoundé and take more dangerous decisions for them to be suffering. I may be talking freely because perhaps I'm not on ground zero, or I'm not in areas that mostly survive with agricultural products. So when such decisions are taken by whosoever took it, Minister Paul Atanganji, remember the same minister who said there was no Anglophone problem, there was no crisis, and it is being sent, help is being sent from outside the country. He is the one taken to distribute. How do you distribute things to people you say there is no problem, and then now you sign a communique without a head and a tail that people should not use machetes?
Okay.
Very soon he is going to sign communique that people should sign a right application before buying kitchen knives, before very soon we are going to write application before cooking food. Very soon we are going to take permission before eating 3 times a day. Why is the country behaving as if they got... Listen, African is a very bad continent where instead of the leaders to be afraid of the people are afraid of the leaders.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and happy Sunday to all in the house. Special greetings to you. Maurice KAMTO, we are not interested whether he wants to unseat Mr. Biya or not. If he succeeds to unseat Mr. Biya, I think he will be worse than the current president. It will be worse than the current president. Biya, because we are tired of Biya, he claims to fight for the youth and the entire state, but I think he is fighting for his interest as well. Tracy writing from Biya. This other one, he says, good day, House of Common, good day, just as my brother in the studio they said Professor KAMTO should rally Francophones in the 8 regions of Cameroon to go out and chase the regime, because we Anglophones are not again in the game of using people as a shield for their political agenda. It's coming from the Elite in Victoria, that is Linda. This one reads, it says, good afternoon in the house. Anything to bring down the regime should be welcome. It's coming from Collins in Germany. This other one reads, it says, please Jarvis, we need order from the French panelist. I'm writing from Canada. KAMTO and his Francophone brothers should go out and fight Biya. We of the Anglophone, we are no longer interested. This other one reads, it says, Mr. Monyang is right, is very correct. I can't believe I am watching my own very teacher on TV. I heard you say it's come historical impact. This other one reads, it says, Jarvis watching live from Tokyo. Please tell doctor that I like to see both Francophones fight on the panel.
What is that?
My dear compatriot, when we look at Davis Eastern political system, you understand how us in the CPDM operate, or what we need. Or what the head of state needs now is for all the citizens to support the peaceful rule of the CPDM. It's coming from Mr. Munian Mark in Biya. Because of time constraint, we may not be able to read all of your SMSs. I come to you, Doctor. Doctor, if you are in Douala now, you get a communique that please go and register your knives, your cutlass, your hoe before your mother in West Region could go for farming, could go and do farming. How will you take that? How feasible is that from your own party? And Tanganji is a member of your party, a strong one at that.
En ce moment, on ne parle pas de la Tanganji comme membre du...
But it's difficult to separate LGPC from your government.
Mais comme
le
ministre de l'administration territoriale. En fait, ce que je veux dire sur le communiqué, c'est que vos réactions, moi je la comprends. Là maintenant, c'est la sociologue qui parle. Je comprends la réaction. Parce qu'en principe, c'est un communiqué que si vous prenez sur l'angle premier, comme il est là, c'est-à-dire interdiction d'achat ou d'utilisation des machettes, c'est automatique que ça va faire rire même le plus grand intellectuel de la planète. Mais maintenant, moi, je veux faire une analyse double ou alors une lecture autre de ce communiqué. Je suis un peu choquée lorsque tout le monde se focalise sur les concepts qui sont utilisés au premier degré. Moi, j'ai vu, par contre, en ce communiqué, le désir pour le ministre de l'administration territoriale de vouloir contrôler, n'est-ce pas, l'utilisation des armes blanches. Parce que lorsque vous prenez l'accent uniquement sur la machette, moi, je vais vous dire que même avec une lame de rasoir, on peut tuer quelqu'un. Même avec une lame de rasoir.
As we saw with the maxi, the compacts.
Voilà, même avec un compact, voilà, même un bic, épine. Donc, moi, je dis, j'ai mis ça sur l'angle de l'arme blanche. Donc, on ne se focalise pas sur la machette, simplement les situations vécues précédemment, c'est-à-dire voir des citoyens camerounais qui sont en train d'être décapités, charcutés, comme si j'étais en train de faire des filets de viande. Ça, tout le monde l'a vu. Ça, tout le monde peut avoir un choc. Ça, tout le monde peut ressentir quelque chose. Donc, je me suis dit, avec toutes ces images affreuses qui ont été présentées à tous les Camerounais, le ministre s'est dit, il faudrait qu'il trouve une situation pour réduire, n'est-ce pas, l'utilisation de l'arme blanche. Mais malheureusement, la méthode ou alors les techniques, les mots appropriés n'ont pas été ce qu'il fallait. Mais ça, quand on ne se focalise pas sur la machette, mais c'est un peu sur le contrôle de l'arme blanche en général.
Thank you very much. Where do we go out from here, Mr. Professor Mark? Sorry that you have been in the cold, but the disorder in the house somehow disoriented the way we run the program. We are visibly out of time. Where do we go out from here? Have you registered your machete? Because I know you always go to the north-southwest region for farming.
It's funny, you know, talking about, I just heard Dr. Sumo saying here that the communicate in a way, looking at it from behind, is actually to regulate l'arme blanche, comme ça?
Yes, arme blanche.
Arme blanche. Okay, let's look at it. The first time I saw on video how somebody was slaughtered was Samsoya. And there were military guys on uniform. That was the first time at the beginning of the crisis. I never heard anybody say knives or machetes should.
But the government says it's not the military officials who committed the act.
It is. Let me be sincere with you. Once an order has gone out for a military person to go, the person who gave the order is involved in the thing. Whosoever committed the crime falls on him. And that is something that we must look into it. Okay, if you stop these boys from, you cannot stop those boys from killing because they have already gone out and started killing. What is happening now is you don't put the people who are there, innocent citizens who are actually out to, they live through farming. You tell them to stop buying machetes, or maybe if you have to buy a machete, you need to write an application and ask that they should give you one. Who will give you? There is nobody who can give you. Those particular administrators will refuse.
Briefly, where do we go from here?
Giving you that opportunity.
We are sorry that the time is against, so where do we go from here?
It is simple. You can't be asking me where we go. That particular communique is not a communique that should be respected. I think that Atanganji should go back and withdraw that communique and tell the people what he actually expects from them. Not that he should tell them. They are suffering things.
Okay.
His own is to come and add more people.
Thank you.
They should not eat.
LFGP, you have people in west, south, north and southwest region. If you are here in Douala and you hear that you go and register your machete, how will you take that? Briefly, we are against time.
Vous Vous savez, il y a gouverner sans anticiper. Mais le RDP nous demande chaque fois qu'il ne gouverne pas retardement. Parce qu'on ne peut pas parler de reconstruction dans le nozo et qu'on dit aux gens de déclarer pour l'achat des machettes, de déclarer pour l'achat du fer à béton et qu'on parle de reconstruction. Donc j'aimerais bien savoir comment cette reconstruction va se passer si les gens qui doivent construire les ponts, les routes et les maisons ne peuvent pas acheter une barre de fer lorsqu'il faut déclarer. C'est ça le fond du problème. D'ailleurs, vous avez remarqué que le RDPCE plateau cette question, ils ont évité parce qu'ils savent que M. Atangji a pris celui de faire quelque chose sans tenir compte de la vie de son parti politique. Il a agi en son âme et conscience. Mais malheureusement, on ne peut pas dissocier les agissements de Atangji avec celui du RDPC. Donc, dans un plan de relance économique, et comme le RDPC a mis sur pied la reconstruction, M. Atangji vient de nous faire comprendre par cet acte-là que nous ne sommes pas en pleine reconstruction, qu'il y a encore la guerre au nozo. Car quand il interdit l'achat des barres de fer, cela démontre tout simplement que le grand dialogue national qui a eu lieu est une mascarade, que ce dialogue n'a rien accouché. Parce que si ce dialogue-là avait accouché de quelque chose, on ne serait pas en train d'interdire aux gens d'avoir des barres de fer pour construire leur maison. On serait plutôt en train d'encourager les gens d'acheter des barres de fer pour réaliser leurs ouvrages. Donc, on espère très bien que les Camerounais, ici de moi, vont comprendre par là même l'appel lancé par le professeur Maurice KAMTO de dire que la manifestation des Camerounais est attendue. Si jamais il décidait, le président du RDPC décidait d'organiser des élections régionales sans qu'il y ait une résolution de la crise anglophone et un code électoral consensuel.
Yeah.
Nous battons pour le peuple anglophone.
Thank you very much. Alex Lipi is responsible for his word. It is not the official position of the media or of this media organs, my media prime. Every Sunday at exactly 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. there's a live edition of House of Commons, and rebroadcast comes out late at 10 p.m. on Sunday, and of course 1 p.m. on Monday there's rebroadcast of this same program. I want to thank you very much, Prof, for coming. It's a pleasure having you.
It's my pleasure being here, and I think whatsoever happened today happened the way it was supposed to happen.
We want to thank you, Song, for coming.
Thank you very much, Jarvis, for inviting me. Thank you I'm glad to share the panel with respected persons. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, brothers and sisters of Southern Cameroon. God is on our side. Keep the faith.
Dr. Simo, because of time, we could not exhaust the confusion. Maybe next week Sunday we will visit the same topic. Thank you for coming.
Merci, c'était un plaisir. Et je crois que nos échanges ont édifié le millier de téléspectateurs sur un ensemble de choses.
Thank you very much, Alex Gepi, for coming.
Merci à tous qui nous suivent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwin, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all those of you who took our time to participate via SMS, via WhatsApp text, and via Facebook. We want to say thanks for all those of you who equally participated silently in your house. I know that the debate continue out of studio. I leave you with this: no matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. And what should matter for you today is that you should understand that Cameroon is a state of law and stay out of trouble. I am Tama Jarvis. Bye bye from this end, the town of Douala, Cameroon's economic capital.